here called air, and it's hot. Fish grease won't even do it proper how hot it is. If I say it's hot as fish grease, that ain't doing it no justice at all. Let's get to the thing. What we on? 30 minutes already? It's 2 o'clock. All right, 30 minutes. Let's get it.
This is breaking news from the Supreme Court. They just ruled to change the power of the president. The Supreme Court just overturned Humphrey's executor. It's a 90-year-old ruling that allowed Congress to build agencies inside of the executive branch that the president didn't control. See, in 1930, Franklin Roosevelt came up with the New Deal, which massively expanded the federal government. And Congress started building agencies, very powerful agencies, to regulate the economy, the market, and the workplace. But here's the catch. They built them inside the executive branch and then told the president that he couldn't touch them. That's the Federal Trade Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, the National Labor Relations Board, and a dozen more. They have trillions of dollars in regulatory power, but they're run by unelected bureaucrats and they're accountable to nobody that you voted for. That 1935 ruling is called Humphrey's executor, and that made it official. And the president couldn't hire them. He couldn't fire them. They just operated on their own for 90 years. And this.
I'm going to bring this back up when we get into the information. We're going to bring this back up, this Humphreys thing. You see, it started in 1935. So we're going to talk about this.
This morning, the Supreme Court said that if an agency sits inside of the executive branch, then the president runs it. That's what the Constitution said. There's no more shadow governments, no more rogue agencies that don't answer to anybody. They answer to the president now, and the president answers to you, which is why the SAVE Act is the next step in us taking back our country.
A smuggling operation that ran for 8 months through armed checkpoints and down a river in the dark. The cargo, 350,000 ancient manuscripts from 45 libraries in Timbuktu, Mali. The smugglers, a librarian named Abdelkader Haidara, and hundreds of volunteers, many of them teenagers, the sons and nephews of Timbuktu's librarians. Here is what they were protecting. In the 15th and 16th centuries, Timbuktu was one of the great intellectual centers on earth. More than 150 universities, scholars working in astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and law. Centuries of African thought written down, passed through families, generation to generation. In 2012, armed militants seized northern Mali and began burning libraries. Haidara had already begun moving. His volunteers packed manuscripts into metal trunks, loaded them onto mule carts, and ran them through checkpoints in the night. They floated them down the Niger River in boats. When bandits stopped one convoy and demanded everything of value, the couriers handed over their watches, their rings, their bracelets. The manuscripts came through. More than 95% of what Timbuktu held made it to safety. Since then, over 150,000 have been digitized. 40,000 are now publicly viewable online. For generations, a colonial narrative held that Africa had no written tradition, no scholarship, no intellectual history worth speaking of. These manuscripts are the direct physical answer to that claim. They were always here. The world was just not looking. Abdelkader Haidara made sure the proof outlasted the story. It's happening quietly, and that's today's report. Expose the good. Stories like this don't usually lead the headlines, but they are shaping the world anyway. What we engage with grows. Attention shapes the feed shapes culture. We'll be back tomorrow with another story that didn't make the front page.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Notice that at the bottom in little tiny small writing in the state of Georgia on their birth certificate. Now, mind you, I didn't read this when I had my children because I didn't know about this information. I would have never thought to read the birth certificate application, right? But when I read it, it said, even if the father signs the birth certificate, that does not give him rights to claim that child as his own, right? And it's like, well, wait a fucking minute. So what's going on here? He don't have rights to the child even if he signs the birth certificate. So what's the point of him signing the birth certificate? Because the wife is married. That's why he's signing the birth certificate. Once again, they're making it look like he's in agreement with her granting the state the opportunity to create that constructive trust. It's not an official trust, not an express trust. It's not a revocable living trust. It is, I guess you could say it's a SQV if you want to relate it to that. But the thing is, you got to even understand that's a constructive trust, right? But it's not in the same sense of, okay, you can go find paperwork and pull it up and prove that they created a trust in your name. It's more so if it looked like a trust, act like a trust, operate a trust, it is a trust, and the trust won't suffer for the lack of having a trustee. All right. So that's why they call themselves public trustees, because they're a trustee of a constructive trust that you can't really go prove exists. So when we're getting information like this, right, don't take it literally and then go out and say, you got to trust in my name because Jazzy told you on TikTok, right? That's not what's going on. The reason we need to understand this information is because we're going to get in these contracts. We're out here contracting and we're coming into agreement with the terms and conditions. And if we don't say anything or challenge those things, then we just by default acquiescence, right? So that's why they're doing what they're doing, and they're operating business as usual because they think that we know what we're doing, and they think we know what they're doing, and that we're just agreeing, you feel me? But we're really just going along to get along because we really don't know what's going on, all right? So we need to be more informed. We need to make sure that we understand the information that we're getting and we're able to use it to our advantage. So when you know these things, you can do better. You can make better decisions. If you're operating a family office or you're doing some type of administrative duties, whether you're a fiduciary, whether you're a trustee, whether you're an authorized representative or authorized agent, you need to be able to make executive decisions, right? You got to make those stuff. And I noticed.
That was pretty good. Absent the outfit, minus the outfit, bars. Very good. The one thing she said, one of the things she said a lot, all of it was good. She said a trust won't suffer for lack of having a trustee. Right? In constructive trust, that is what's missing because there's no trustee or fiduciary type language. Right? Based on the fact that she said it's constructive, resulting, implied. So nobody knows the position. Only position that has been established is who the trustor is. The grantor. Who is the or? That's what we know. The living man, the living woman. It's always the or. Because they cannot do anything unless that thing is endorsed. Now, the beneficiary, per se, on paper, you might think it is established, but actually it isn't. Okay, because that company is nothing but a figment of your imagination. It is a straw man, right? Because it has no brain, has no legs, has no arms. See? No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Can't do none of that. So that name, JP Morgan Chase, Washington Mutual, Bank of America, City of LA, Department of Water and Power, anything you want to think of it to be, is nothing but an extension, right? 28 USC 3002, number 15, number 16. It's nothing but an extension of the government, which is actually the bottom foundation well, let me say it this way, of the United States government with its foundation on the people. So all of those things, believe it or not, are pretty much one and the same. If you caught that, what I meant on that. I thought this was, I think this is AI, but it was still kind of cool though. It's kind of cool. I thought that was cool.
Land mammal found in North America. Wood bison were declared extinct in the 1900s until a tiny herd was found in a remote section of Canada.
28 animals. That's all they had. 28 bison in wooden crates on a military plane, descending toward a dirt airstrip in the middle of Canada's boreal wilderness. June 1980, a place so remote it barely registers on maps. Nobody cheered when the cargo doors opened. The scientists involved will tell you that themselves. Because they knew the math. One brutal winter, one disease, one hungry wolf pack, and a bad calving season, and the whole experiment dies before it ever gets going. 28 is not a buffer against catastrophe. It is the catastrophe, narrowly avoided every single day. That's not what happened. What happened instead, what 45 years of data now reveals, is something researchers still struggle to explain. Not just that the animals survived, but what they did next, where they went, what they changed, how a landscape that had been quietly dying for 100 years began, almost immediately, to wake up. This is the story of the most improbable wildlife recovery in North American history. A species erased on purpose. A researcher who spotted something impossible from a plane window. And what happens when you return, the one animal a wilderness was built around, the animal nobody thinks about. Before you can understand what was lost, you need to understand what the wood bison actually is. Most people hear the word bison and picture the shaggy plains version, the one from old coins and Western films. The wood bison is its northern cousin, and the comparison doesn't do it justice. A mature bull weighs over 2,000 pounds, stands close to 6 feet at the shoulder. That hump of muscle above its front legs isn't decorative, it's an engine. The wood bison uses it to plow through snowdrifts deeper than its own legs, sweeping frozen ground aside to reach the forage beneath. In conditions that would starve almost any other large grazer on the continent, this animal thrives. It is, by every biological measure, designed for the north, for the cold, for exactly the kind of boreal wilderness that humans have historically written off as too harsh for anything to flourish in. It is, in a very real sense, what survival looks like when 10,000 years of northern winters have done their selecting. But mass isn't what makes the wood bison important. What makes it important is what it does to the land it walks on. It's not just a grazer, it's a builder. When a herd moves across a boreal meadow, it doesn't just eat, it crops the grass low, stimulating the root systems that hold soil together. It tramples dead, standing vegetation back down into the ground, cycling nutrients instead of letting them decay in the open air. It spreads nitrogen-rich dung across thousands of square kilometers, feeding soils that would otherwise lock their nutrients away for decades. And it carves wallows, shallow pits rolled into the earth by animals weighing a ton, that fill with rainwater and become tiny wetlands, holding water long enough for amphibians to breed in country that's otherwise too dry for them. Research into bison wallowing has found that these depressions do far more than hold water. They create entirely distinct microbial communities in the soil beneath them. Different bacteria, different fungi, different chemistry that would not exist without the animal's weight and repetitive behavior. Some wallows hold water for weeks after rainfall, functioning as ephemeral wetland systems that support aquatic invertebrates and provide breeding habitat for species that have no other option in dry season boreal terrain. Scientists
Now, that is a crazy, if I could just use the word crazy, that's crazy. That bison can do all of that. And they remove these bison. You know, they removed these bison. I remember there was this one thing I saw where like people just came in and just started killing them. You know, and this is showing that bison actually probably been here from the gate. Now, there is a map that I have, I gotta find it, that you actually see the outline of North America. Kind of looks like a bison. Yeah. Appreciate everybody being here. I saw, wait a minute. I saw that right there, none of your business. Said trust left unattended is what these invaders make their business. What is that called? Abandonment. It's called abandonment. Okay. That's what they call it. They don't call it unattended. They call it abandoned. But it's not abandoned at all because there's a trust relationship already set up. I already showed you that. The trust relationship already set up. So they cannot, it will never be abandoned. It's just the pushing of the paper and moving it over to somewhere else into a whole different jurisdiction, hiding it under some colorable titles. All right, let's get back to it. All right, let me close this out. Boom.
Monuments, they call it monuments, not the ones we have outside, but these are large, thousands of acres. We're terminating certain monuments, they call it monuments, not the ones we have outside, but these are large, thousands of acres. It's a total of almost 3 million acres. Well, they took the land away from the people, quite honestly. It was ridiculous. And I remember Orrin Hatch, before he passed away, he was a great guy, he was a friend of mine, and he felt so strongly about this. And we signed, and then they terminated it after they got in office, which was crazy. And we're putting it back, but we're actually giving more than we did the first time back to the people of Utah.
What people are you talking about? That's the key. What people are you talking about? Thank you. I'm on point. All right. Long as we on the same page, none of your business. But yeah, that right there is big. I don't know if anybody heard about this. But yeah. See these monuments and things like that. Restoring them back to the people of Utah. So this is a part of the thing Trump has been doing. He's been unfederalizing a lot of these monuments, these national monuments, these wonders. You know, pretty soon, guess what's going to come next? These national forests. You see, they all democracy. I ain't gonna say Democrats, but democracy, because you heard those ladies talking yesterday, those two Supreme Court justices. They're talking politics. They're democracy. The democracy has did all of this. You know what I'm saying? Democracy did this. And he's undoing it. This is where, you know, we need somebody that, you know, it's called like a historian type, that a researcher that looks into a lot of these executive orders that he had put together. You know, because these executive orders can become law. You see what I'm saying? And if the House and Senate can push it to the side and delay it and delay it and delay it, and then once he's gone, the next president can pull it out because it's no longer, it hasn't been law yet. It hasn't been acted on. This is some of the stuff they've been doing with Trump. You know what I mean? See, but now this is why I was showing yesterday about the Supreme Court. They want to get in on it. They want to be in on democracy. Article 3 definitely cannot be a democracy. It has to be a republic. It has to be based on common law and equity. Law and equity. That's it. And it must be neutral. It must be blind. It must follow the rule of law, and all its interpretations should be based on the foundational documents that was created for the United States of America to even function. Because if it doesn't, it's no longer useful, it's no longer functionable, and it must be erased. That's what they said. These are their documents. And it's up to the people to get it done. But see, little stuff like this, they think is little. But it's not. This is the most powerful thing that you can actually have, because once you restore this, you're actually restoring American history. And then the dots can be connected.
Now, a couple of my viewers say, Getty, you ain't been bringing the secrets lately like the powerful ones. Well, today, I got you. But go ahead and take a screenshot while I talk. But before I begin, this is for all my faithful subscribers and people who mess with me. You got to understand your background of why they did not teach you what the word freeman actually meant. But today, I'm going to put this secret out there. All right? So I got you. You're about to learn something today. Now, this is so important. Have you ever heard the word anti-my line, right? Have you ever heard of that? All right.
Getty. It's anti-mine. It's etim online. Etim for etymology. Online. Not anti-mine online. Not anti-mine line. They be cracking me up. He can't read to save his life. So I got to pause him. He's about to give some good information. It's etim online. All right?
Let me show you why you never heard of the word freeman or anti-mon. Anti-mon, right? Origins and history of freeman, which is a noun, manumitted slaves, 1600s from past, right? Free from past.
No. It's from past participle of free, which is an adjective, plus man, which is a noun. Okay, here we go.
What does past mean? The past, right? So what's for?
No, it doesn't mean the. Yeah, it does mean past means the past, but not as they saying it. They breaking down. Etymology is about breaking down one word into its root. So we got free here, we got man here. This is what they're saying. So past participle. All right.
100 years, let me ask you this question. Let's start back from 1600, which is 400. 1600, right? 1500, right? Right? 1400, right? 1300. So we've been in slavery since the 1300s? Okay, let's continue. Men are now, especially in U.S. history, the old world.
The older world. See, hold on, he messed me up. The older word. The older world. He said the old world. No, the older word.
Old world. The old world. Come on, preach, pastor. The old world is freemen without the D. Without the D. Freemen, right? Then they created the Freedmen's Bureau, right? Was the popular name of the Bureau of Refugees and Freedmen and Abandoned Lands Act.
All right. So abandonment, right? Abandoned lands. None of your business. Abandoned lands. There we go right here. So these freedmen, Bureau of Refugees, freedmen, and abandoned lands. This is the stuff that Rodney always is talking about. People be like, he don't know what he's talking about. But here you go. I mean, this is something. This is a form of reclassification. If you can change the name and you put a D in there, right? Freedmen. That's like Ebonics. It's not a word. I got to do this with Getty on this one. He pretty much butchered it, but I get what he's saying. So 1865, Freedmen's Bureau, right? Got the Freedmen's Bureau. Now, we got to do a whole segment on this to actually make this make sense, but this is something. That also says an office of the War Department. So this Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, an office was an office of the War Department. So Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Department of the Interior, did these people play a role? I mean, did these departments and agencies tie into this? Because a lot of people talk about War Department, right? So the young kid, that's the secretary, is the, what is they call it now? They do it properly now. They call it the War Department Secretary, or they call it the War Secretary, the War Department Secretary, Treasury Department Secretary. Secretary comes last instead of being the Secretary of. Now it's Secretary afterwards. And that's an important thing too as well. So they changed these names, the Department of Defense, the Department of Interior, all these places that they put in, you know, to kind of cover up and change the whole dynamics of what this was actually supposed to do during that time in order to start, siphoning the monies, resources, commodities. Because people always think money when they talk about this bureau, Freedmen's Bureau, the Freedmen Bank, and all this type of stuff. This was about everything. Anything that had value that was connected to the land. That's why the Interior had it. You got the Interior, you got the Bureau of Land Management, you have the Bureau of Indian Affairs, you have the War Department. You have a lot of different things. But see, this Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands is really not even talked about. But what do we have a lot of coming in here? People that they're bringing here, bringing into America under these titles, except for abandoned lands. But they're using the term refugees, freeing people, emancipating people. This is what they say when they bring in these foreigners in here. This is the language that they're putting in the sentences, but they're not fully explaining where this is coming from. But remember, I'm going to find the video where Kamala Harris actually explained it.
Did I just expose something? Did I just expose HR 613? Huh? Did I just expose it? Oh.
Okay, so we got HR 613. All right. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. So we got to pull it.
Okay. Now, Abandoned Lands Act, an official of the War Department established by Congress March 3rd, 1865, right?
Now you see, he said the official word. It said office. Office of the War Department. All right, let's back it up a little bit.
Huh? Did I just expose it? Oh, okay. Now, Abandoned Lands Act, an official of the War Department established by Congress March 3rd.
You see right there, it says office. It says an office of the War Department established by Congress March 3rd, 1865, and discontinued in 1872. Now, why did they do that? Why did they start it in 1865? Why did they create this whole thing and then discontinue it in 1872? What came after? What came out after that during that time, right? Reconstruction, what they call the Reconstruction Act. So this actually, through Congress, see, this is what Congress is called. This is where they talk about democracy. The Congress is all based on democratic ideologies and values and approach to things. This is why you have your Article 2 and Article 3 in place. So that way Congress just can't run shop. Because if it was up to Congress, because Congress is the only one that can declare war. War has to be declared through Congress, has to get an approval. If Article 2 or the executive wants to go, or the commander-in-chief wants to go to war, it must be approved through Congress. So they created these war departments. You remember the Indian departments as well. You had these Indian departments. Now I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Now I'm going to make a reference to this as well. Okay, I'm going to make a reference to this. So we have this right here. No, not that. We got this right here, and then we have oh yeah, I moved it down here. This right here. All right. So this one right here.
Or 1865, right? So what they did is they actually declared our land banded while we're still there, and they took over and they created towns and government while we're still there, and saying they are the chairman, they are the president, they are the congressman, they. And they did it with the Native Americans and the white people, all the immigrants, while we're still there, not knowing what's going on, prisoners of war. And they took over our lands and said it was abandoned while we still there paying rent and taxes, which we are slaves on our own land, all secret.
Now, what he said is important. This is a bombshell. Yeah, he can't read. He can't read. He can't enunciate. He can't read. He just flows through it, and he assumes the words. He doesn't read it carefully. But what he said right there was that they started creating their own quasi-governments, officials and everything in these places where they weren't supposed to be, but they were doing this stuff secretly. And at the same time, through their proxy, right, through these plenary acts, they were making these declarations of what they discovered and what they found and who was there and who was not there, and the whole makeup of these people. So what he's saying is interesting. Very interesting what he's talking about right now. It's very interesting because I'm looking at it as something that is important. See, because a lot of people say, well, you know, they did this and they did that. No, they was doing this amongst themselves. I'm of the thought, based on the stuff that I've read and what I'm hearing and seeing now, is that all of these things, what they did, are actually acts. ACTS, act. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of this stuff was done and has never been rebutted, never been answered, because it never was, nobody was never given notice of it. Technically, I think people were just moving the way they was moving normally. I don't think this was no Indian removal or any of these situations. I think people was probably leasing out land, giving them opportunity to do their thing, and the people still owned it, and they was traveling and moving around because, hey, we got about 5,000 acres over here. Go ahead. Yeah, we're going to set you up, do whatever you need to do. Boom. You're going to pay us money. And you know why I say that? Because I got proof that that's what they were doing. And when I say they, I'm talking about these people that they call removals. Then after a while, you sit here and this is where what comes in? Homestead. This is where what? Squatters' rights come in. It's all this stuff that's coming in that's being signed off by the president. And all these people, and they creating all these quasi-governmental entities and these quasi-public officials amongst themselves. You're not governing the indigenous people at all. Records already show that. I mean, they pretty much already proved it through this natural birthright, naturalization act, this birthright citizenship, in the oral arguments and everything else that came after that, in the opinions, the dissents and otherwise, the majority and the dissents, that the black people are Americans and owe no allegiance to anywhere else in the world. Nowhere. You guys with me? And gals, y'all with me? So all these things they were doing were quiet. And eventually they gathered the numbers. This is where, in the turn of the century, when they started bringing other people in, and however it was being done, I think it was being done the same way. People just started flowing in. And at that time, there really wasn't a border situation. It wasn't like the American people was like, nah, you can't bring these people up in here. They looked at it as labor. They looked at it as a commodity, an opportunity. Hey, bring them on in. You got people coming in, you're responsible for them. As long as they ain't trespassing over here, Don't worry about it. We won't put them down, and we won't just, package them up and send them back. Think business. Think it from a common sense aspect. Think about it on the other side of the mirror. If you look at it from that perspective, you would say, wait a minute. People say, well, a lot of people had left and moved and so on and so forth. And da, 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 da. Certain people say, hey, man, I'm about to go over here to Cali. I'm about to go over here to Oklahoma. I'm about to go up here to New York. I'm about to go to Michigan. I'm about to go to Illinois. Yeah, it's money out there. I'm about to go get some money. I'm good. I'll be at the family reunion. I'll be back. We still do that today. Does that mean we was actually moved, or was we freely moving? New drink. All right? New drink. Something new on the table. Because what I'm going to continue to do, not what I'm going to do, what I'm going to continue to do is I'm going to make you guys think with a business mind. Guys and gals, men and women, lords and ladies, we are going to make sure, kings and kingesses, we're going to make sure, chiefs and chiefesses, we're going to make sure that we keep a business mindset. Business mindset keeps your common sense in mind because there's numbers to be counted. You need your calculator, and you need to calculate. Wait a minute. Carry the one. Hold on. Wait a minute. That don't add up. You know why? Because we're still here. You got to look at it from this way. Quick digression, but it's really not a digression. It is something I could add on to empower it even more. They have provided ample resources, ample fiat to destroy a specific people. It failed. They went and brought the whole world over here to America to try to distinguish a people. It failed. I mean, it got to a point where one of their own people is like, man, I'm tired of this. I mean, you got their own people say, hey, man, we got to stop this, man. Hey, look, they ain't going nowhere. We tried. I mean, in order to take these people out, you're going to have to destroy the planet. And we are not going to allow that because you know what they want to do? Destroy the planet to get us off of it. They're making all these pods and going to the moon and the Mars, and they underground, man, they trying to create all kind of stuff because they say we can't get rid of these goddamn roaches. These niggers ain't going nowhere. We have damn near poisoned every single aspect of their life, and they still here. God damn it, we blowing this damn thing up. Shit, fuck it. We about to blow it all the way up. That's all they can do. But as it even got to that point, yeah, I didn't got on my soapbox. It's interesting. It's interesting though, right? As they got to this point where they just really just got out of control and they just made it plain and blank. If that even means any, if that makes sense to you guys, plain and blank. We are fighting for the soul of America. We are fighting for the soul of America. This is what they ran off on. You know what I'm talking about? You know, the previous administration, the virtual reality administration. We are fighting for the soul of America. Did you guys ever stop to think what that meant? Did you guys really think about that from a different perspective, like Coach does? I said, you fight for the soul of America. Fighting for the soul of America. Who is the soul of America? Who always say, what's happening, soul brother? I got soul. The S-O-L, the S-O-U-L. Who is that? Why? Because I've been telling people for the longest, you do not understand that every entity that comes into office in this United States, as we see it today over the last 100 years, have been fighting for the soul of America. And the number one thing on their agenda is those Americans, that they're fighting for the soul. Think about it a different way. Let me tell you something. Now, I'm going to be honest for a quick second. I've pretty much dated women all over the world. I've had women from all over the world, pretty much, for the fact that I was an athlete. It wasn't that I had good game or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it was. I know how to talk a little bit, and, you know, I wasn't bad looking. You know, I'm older now, so, I mean, I'm doing all right. Shit, I'm just trying to make sure, you know, my legs and feet and knees can function on the same tip. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I just pulled a ligament. I just tore my ACL, and I ain't do nothing but step off the stairs. Well, you know, the doctor said, well, your bones is about 100 years old. You damn near didn't tow your whole body up. But nevertheless, I say that to say, that doesn't mean, never means, that I stray away from home. No, not doing that. Anybody that breaks their neck for a group of people that has historically had a issue and a means to an end to your demise, got a problem. But think about it, though. Just think about it. You know what I'm saying? Just think about it. Get the slave mentality out your mind. Get the fear out your mind. Get the narrative out your mind. All that shit is out. Let me tell you something. You know what would help? Is that every movement, every ideology that is centered around slavery, Black, African American, and anything else in that matter needs to, if it needs to go. If they was all to go, guess what? Victory. Nothing but a victory. You know why? Because there's no division. We have a target group. In organizing, you got to have a target group. One accord. What has been the one accord? Back in the day, we all been sold this story that we came off a slave ship. We came off a boat. And all we know is what they told us that we need to know coming off that boat. When we came off that boat, we grew legs, arms, a mouth, and everything else. And we pretty much worked, slaved, and ate chitlins. Now, That has to be scrapped. But at the same time, you still can have that as part of your foundation because everybody was told that story in school. So we say, hey, we was all told a story. You say, wait a minute. The Pan-Africans say, shit, we got great empires in Africa. Everything originated from Africa. You got another group. You got the Aboriginals. And I don't care what you call yourself. You're an Aboriginal, Indigenous, American, Indian. Can't get past that. We say, nah, the origins start here. First thing that sprung out the water is here. You say, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's have some powerful debates. Not about the ideology of Pan-Africanism, ADOS, FBA, and all these other things we got going on. About the history, demographics, the geography, the statues, the monuments, everything that's tangible, fruits, vegetables, animals, mammals, fish, birds, all these things. Then we could get into empires, kingdoms, people, names. Now we're getting somewhere. Not mythological things that you actually think that means something to somebody. It don't mean shit to them because as long as those conversations happening, those people over there sitting there laughing. Fat cigars, drinks, feet kicked up, women dancing around in thongs. These niggeros, these nigger rods. Yeah, let them keep fighting amongst themselves. They stupid. Nigger, Indian, same thing.
Get in here, get in here, get in here. This is my 5th time trying to do this. My 5th time trying to do this. Because I need some donations, $1. I'm kind of broke. So I want to try to make some donations. But I was trying to reveal this secret about the license plates, which is called the of 1812. But I got to watch what I say. But let's go on in this road of where license plates come from that I know that you need to know when you step in these courtrooms with the flag, all secrets revealed, because you never heard this before. But only this guy can bring you this. Now, before we begin, you see this, right? And I gotta watch what I say. You see this, right? Right? You see it, right? Very clearly. Now, I want to read it, but this is my 5th time doing this video. But I want to show you, right, who issued it, right? Now you need license plates, but it never was for the melanated peoples or Indians of North America. But who issued this? It was who? And they what? Then they are.
Now, hold on. Hey, what's going on? Everybody here? Everybody here? Okay. Is this what's happening? Oh, okay, I went up a little bit. I was at like 4. I ain't been paying attention. Is what's happening? What's happening? Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? All right, nobody else. Okay, so if you look at this right here, I want to make sure I'm off mute. If I was talking to myself, I was about to go crazy. But look, letters of marque, right? That's in Article 1. Article 1, Congress is the only one that can issue letters of marque. So if he's saying right here, this is new to me. I don't know everything. I just know what I know. And sometimes I don't even know if I know what I know. But if you got right here, if you got letters of marque, you got licenses in here. So Congress issues letters of marque, licenses. Or you just say letters of marque. French is marque. Really, it's just marks, letters of marks. Shit, I gotta. All right, I gotta look into that.
Rights to who? To what? Armed merchants, ships. So your vehicle to them is a what? Ship. Follow me because I tried to explain it. I'm not going to try to do it again, so I got to watch what I say. But let's continue. And make sure you take a screenshot, please.
Interesting. That's interesting. Interesting. And he said they took his thing down a few times. I'm like, how they take your shit a few times and you can't read? And when you try to explain it, don't come out right. So must came right on out on this one. I see where he's going. Interesting.
Now, this right here, I'm just going to explain it to you because I don't want to read every word because they're going to cut the video. But who issued this, right? Right? Look. Amity with that flag in the courtroom. In America, they're the only ones supposed to have license. Because what? I mean, license and plates, right? Because what? Green. So they're doing green.
That's crazy. Look. Okay. These two, best he's done. To me, best he's done. These last two, this is the last one and this one. Freeman, that was good. It actually made me go on a damn tirade. I was on my soapbox for about 10 minutes. That was the trigger. Now this one, interesting. Now the War of 1812, right? They call that what? The French Indian War? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take I'm gonna put a link in the chat just for this topic right here. War 1812. We know we've heard a lot of people talk about this War of 1812, but I never heard anything about this. Never heard anything about this. I'm not gonna pin it yet. Anybody want to come up? Anybody want to come up? I mean, I'm just saying. This is something that they left out about these licenses, these letters of marque. Because if they're licensing people, they're pretty much deputizing people to do an act. And then this is something that's being done over, what is it? 2012. So we talking about, let's just say it's 200 years later, it's 2012. So we say it's minus 50 on it. So that's what? 62? 1962? Right? So we're looking at something that we really can't. Hold on, let me put the screen up. Go ahead, you can talk about it. What's that? I want to pull this up.
I can't see it. I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
Oh, what you doing? Driving?
I don't have my glasses.
Oh, okay. Well, it was just based off what he was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like he's talking about the War of 1812 licenses. That these people were being issued licenses.
Who? The soldiers?
All these people from these British Admiralty. Well, let's not get okay. So let's start here. What was the War of 1812 supposed to be about? Wasn't that supposed to be the French Indian War?
The French Indian War.
Where the British come involved in this?
That's something new that they've been saying, that supposedly they helped us a bunch of British and what do you call it? The Punjabis supposedly were, how they got here, I don't know, but they were supposedly over here helping. But from what I was told from my family member, that was just us fighting each other.
So what do these licenses have to do with anything? War of 1812 licenses. Let me play this.
What is a license? A license is giving you permission to do something otherwise illegal, right?
What's for the melanated?
Okay, so I apologize about that. When I rewinded this TikTok, it would just start playing. But what I want to read some of this stuff because he said he couldn't say anything based off
A license plates come from that I know that you need to know when you step in these courtrooms with the flag, all secrets revealed, because you never heard this before. But only this guy can bring you this. Now, before we begin, you see this, right? I gotta watch what I say.
Watch what he says. So what he's showing right now is the War of 1812 licenses. Okay, that's number one. I'm gonna navigate this thing slowly because this is kind of interesting. I never looked.
You see this, right? Right? You see it, right? Very clearly. Now, I want to read it, but this is my 5th time doing this video, but I want to show you.
Okay, so
I want to show you.
Hold on.
Right? Who issued it? Right? Now you need to spit out.
Damn.
Man, get
Shit.
Get in here. This is my 5th time trying to do this.
And this goddamn laptop is annoying as hell, man.
About the secret about the license plates, which is called the of 1812. But I gotta watch what I say. Before we begin, and I gotta watch what I say. You see this, right? Right? You see it, right? Very clearly. Now I want to read it.
Okay, so I'm gonna read it now. Damn. Say in the context of the War of 1812, licenses typically refer to 2 distinct historical mechanisms. British issued trade licenses required for neutral ships to trade during wartime, and letters of marque, where we found Article 1, Section, I think this is Article 1, Section 8, licenses, right? And letters of marque licenses. So they got licenses in parentheses. So these letters of marque are equal to licenses or synonymous. Issued by Congress that authorize private individuals to arm merchant ships and capture enemy cargo. It sounds like the police. So these licenses are being issued to police as well as to the people. So these people are being issued license so that they're, to me, is what it sounds like. So that means that it made people susceptible to capture. So it says issued by Congress that authorized private individuals, because these police officers, these city police, these PDs operate in a private capacity. A lot of people don't know that.
Right. They're traffic cops.
Right. Like bounty hunters. All right, so that's what it says right there. So issued by Congress that authorized private individuals to arm merchant ships and capture enemy cargo. To arm merchant ships, private individuals. Now, these private individuals, most time we deal with be like lobbyists. You got lobbyists, you got you know, these little groups.
Pirates.
Yeah, what they call the 13th tribe. These people. Okay, so all right, let's keep going.
Well, this is my 5th time doing this video, but I want to show you, right, who issued it, right? Now you need license plates, but it never was for the melanated peoples or Indians in North America. But who issued this? It was who? And they what? Then they authorized to who? To what? Armed merchants, ships. So your vehicle to them is a what? Ship. Follow me because I tried to explain it. I'm not going to try to do it again, so I got to watch what I say. But let's continue. And make sure you take a screenshot, please.
And how you presenting it, I'm looking at it. This might be the way he needs to do it from now on, because he can't read to save his life. Now, the last part is capture enemy cargo. So what that's telling me is that they've already been informed that we are enemies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, who are they considering the enemy? And that would be us. And that goes back to what Isness brought up with all the surveillance. They're just taking it steps further because I believe something was said about licenses are no longer required. And I've been seeing a lot of people who have removed them.
Okay, so
I know you see the cars in California where people they have removed their licenses.
okay, so I'm at the chat right now. I see you say in French mean Indians, so that's us against us. All right, so hold that thought. I'm not going to haggle on that right now. Okay, so Tamula says driver. So she brings in that word driver as well. So is that driver considered to be some form of merchant? Is that merchant conversation? Because they say you're driving. So if you're driving, I mean, where does that stand? I mean, if you're not driving, they have no jurisdiction. But if you admit to the driving, they got you.
If you have a license, then you're a driver.
Okay.
Under the right to travel, how they did the play on right to travel.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the word driver is also under a definition of the word French freedman, or no, not freedman, freeman.
Mm. This is interesting. I don't want to spend too much time on it though. I just said I just here with somebody else. If I was looking at it wrong or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, you're probably right. It's some type of secret tactic that they're pulling or been pulling.
Yeah, let me bring up
because what? Green. I'm supposed to be doing green.
So he not reading it, but it says the British actively relied on this licensed trade to provision their armies and allies fighting in Spain and Portugal. But prior to that, it says, despite being at war, the British Admiralty and consuls issued hundreds of licenses, allowing American merchantmen, primarily from New England, continue trading grain and supplies to the Iberian Peninsula. Now, you know the Iberian Peninsula was the seat of the Moorish Empire, right?
Right.
Also, the Roman Empire.
Allegedly, yeah.
At the same time prior to that, the Carthaginians. fought the big brother behind Iberia as well. So he's talking about allow, right? I have a problem with this allowing.
Allow, let, suffer.
Yeah, so the British Admiralty, right? The British Admiralty and consuls issue hundreds of licenses, allowing American merchantmen, primarily from New England, to continue trading grain and supplies to the Iberian Peninsula. Okay, I can work with that. I just read it again.
Did that have something to do with that whole when they were capturing the ships during the war? Was it Tripoli? What was that?
That was that Tripoli?
And they were trying to get the Moroccans to allow them to continue safe travel.
Maybe. But in 1812, that was Paul Cuffey, right? Paul Cuffey was going up there. You talk about New England. New England, that's in the area. That's Wampanoag, that's the Pequot, that's the Narragansett, that's the Benaki people. That's all them people that was over there on that side.
And there's also the war where they started issuing all of the patents. If you participated in that war, you were issued patents for land as an Indian.
Well, you said, okay, so remember when I read about Cuffey thing, they actually captured, they put an embargo on him. There was an embargo going on at that time, and he still was going, and they captured him and they put him in jail. Remember?
That I don't remember exactly, so you might have to.
Okay, see, this is why I need somebody to come up here so I can get something else to trigger right there. I said, wait a minute, it's Paul Cuffey time, and not just Paul Cuffey, his son, his brother-in-law, his brother. A lot of ships going back and up and forth through that Atlantic and up through Canada and all the way around. And they said in those, but I read that there was these embargoes they had put on the British, on the trades. And there you go. It's 1812. I think he died not too long after that. Not too long after this war, he passed. Well, I'm gonna get back to none of your business. I'm tired of talking to you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, sis, in a minute. We'll bring it back up. All right, let me get I ain't even got to the presentation yet. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, let me see. I gotta get through these. And then I'll make sure I keep it short and sweet. I'm on an hour 43. I'm doing pretty good. We're gonna fly through these. These are very important things that are messages that I need to have heard.
She said she was 13. I asked her, why are you coming out here in public looking like that? And she said, I just took my braids down. I said, no excuse. I said, put a hat on. I said, that's how people stereotype you. And then I asked her, how old are you? She says 13. And I said, that makes it even worse. I said, do not get used to that look. It's not a good look. And you know what she said to me? My mom told me the same thing. I said, your mom is right. Do not come in public with bonnets on your head. That's for bedtime, and that's for your house.
All right, is this none of your business? You got daughters? You better not be letting them go outside the house with a damn bonnet on their head. I had one of my partners said, that kind of cool to me. You what? Where's the button? Where's that sound effect? What? What is it? What? Oh, my boy Chili say, what? What? Come on now. And look at her face. She is serious. She ain't blinked yet.
That's what I told her. And she was very receptive of it because she knew that I was right. Because her mom told her the same thing. Yeah, enough of the ghetto-ness. No more of that. We're tired of that. No more ghetto fabulous. No more ghetto-ness. I'm calling all ghetto-ness out when I see it. Starting to
Look, and she put her ghetto into it. See, she got the wagging that finger. Yeah, you got some ghetto in you too, but take ghetto to no ghetto.
Okay.
That was good.
Anybody in America who's in, I don't believe anybody in America.
If nobody know this guy at the bottom, that is John Thompson, head coach at Georgetown University for a long time. You know, he passed away. Played for the Celtics during the time with Bill Russell, a lot of people. You know what I mean? Got a head coaching job at a university that was damn near 99% white, non-black, I would say, non-copper colored, non-swarthy. The only swarthy people at the University of Georgetown played basketball, except for the ones that they didn't show that actually got a scholarship there. This is the guy that found, or took, not found, but took a chance on Allen Iverson. This is the guy. The story as it goes, and he says it, John Thompson said, I didn't want to have nothing to do with him. He was a problem. He had too much attention on him. Talent outside this world. This guy could have played in the NFL as a quarterback. D1, not just D1, NFL as a quarterback. Allen Iverson. This guy was the truth. Probably one of the best athletes to ever play a sport. Everybody wanted Allen Iverson, but they put this thing on him. He's from West Virginia, somewhere in the same location as Michael Vick. Don't quote me on that, but bottom line, he didn't want to have nothing to do with him. They put a jacket on Allen at a bowling alley. Damn near messed up his whole career. He said his mama, because he came to visit him and he said, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. After all that happened, you know, he just around that crowd. He just was with that. But even though he didn't do nothing, John Thomas was like, I don't want to deal with it. He said his mama came to Georgetown University, came in his office, walked through everybody, and said, you have to save my son. If you don't get him, they're going to kill him. We're gonna pass that one out. Pass that one up. Let's listen to this.
America is ready for a new way forward. We are not going back. We together will chart a new way forward. We're not going back. Together we'll move forward.
We're not going back. Forward together. Folks, this has literally been the slogan of the Communist Party for the past 10 years. I'm not even joking. If you go to the Communist Party USA's website, 3 years ago, Communist co-chair Rosanna Cambron literally wrote an article titled, We're Not Going Back, forward together. Rosanna is a communist through and through, and she's unashamed of it.
That's how we communists work. This is how you build that movement that's going to be the massive movement that we need to topple capitalism.
It's not a coincidence that this just so happens to be Kamala Harris's campaign slogan, nor did she plagiarize it from the Communist Party. Communists have long acted as the kind of ideological undergird of the Democrat Party here in the United States, and Kamala Harris is just a continuation of that.
Together!
Together we'll move forward.
Again, for the past decade, communists have been giving speeches all over the country where they have the banner, "We're not going back," plastered behind them.
Chicago has produced more outstanding communist leaders maybe than any other place around in a lot of ways.
So this begs a question. Do you continue to pretend that Kamala Harris is not influenced by communist ideology, choosing instead to blindly accept the Marxian policies that she's pushing forward? Or do you choose not to be the idiot they think you are?
Well, tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel. Hold on. Is there anything else? Nah, we're going to leave that alone. Let's see what this brother got to say.
We end up here. Sacred land. I can't go into depth of this video, but Moses was led here. Sacred land. This is where the second exodus called the Trail of Tears took place, because the first one was the original exodus that led them here. And who wanted to make sure they take seizure of this land because this land is sacred? Well, they had to commit the Trail of Tears right here in order to actually
see. Now, if you look at this, if you look at the top, you actually see that this resembles a bison. This can be considered to be, the nutsack and the penis. Right here. These legs right here. Move it up. You actually see this other side over here. Looks like a bison. It's kind of close.
In order to actually get this. Civil.
You see? That's Texas. Boom, boom, boom. That's how they have it right now. But when you look at it, yeah.
Unrest, fighting amongst each other. When they committed the Trail of Tears, they cursed themselves. People don't know that, but they did. Seriously, they did. And out of that curse, they start warring with each other over the same land, the sacred, called native land. They know something sacred about this area. That's why they've been fighting over control of it. Not these up here, not that over there. They talking about this over here. And then all of a sudden, it became this area. This area carry a lot of war wounds, history that is not being turned over, that's buried. And they want to keep it that way. That's why they keep those crosses going down.
That's that whole Southeastern Conference. Southeastern and Atlantic Coast Conferences. They have rivalries.
On the highway when you go into the South, because they don't want the truth to come out about what happened here. Somebody's being Moses, and that shit's gonna come out. Whether words are being spoken about the Antichrist, and the Antichrist is a man, though. Antichrist is a system. It's going against what they built, regardless of how people see it. It's going to be done with a pen and piece of paper called executive orders. So, by them doing these atrocities in the second Exodus and genociding our ancestors, they were cursed from the very foot they stepped on these lands. That's why they went into war with each other. You can say whatever political figure, historian shit you want to, but I'm telling you, that's why they start calling this the Bible Belt for protection.
We're gonna run that one back. See, all this stuff, none of your business. See, I told you none of your business. She be watching these wild videos. See, we need a whole segment. No, we ain't doing that. Let's do this one.
We take back native land right now, not through protest, not through a political favor, not through a special program, through a legitimate legal pathway that most people have never been told exists. Across the United States, families long classified as black are walking into courtrooms with faded census pages, church registers, and treaty-era records, and walking out with restored citizenship and land. Judges are not giving them charity. They are enforcing treaties. They are correcting racial erasure. And in case after case, they are returning property that was taken when indigenous ancestors were stripped of identity and renamed. This is happening quietly because it dismantles a dangerous myth that Black Americans have no legal claim to this land beyond the legacy of slavery. The truth is far more unsettling. Many Black families descend from Native Americans whose identity was erased so their land could be taken.
This is not yours. None of your business. I saw that. Yeah. Did I say buffalo or did I say bison? I meant bison. My bad. Did I say bison or buffalo? Buffalo. Anyway, this is Copper Draco. Copper Draco said this one.
Today, the same law that once erased them is being used to restore what was stolen. This is not a loophole. It is not wishful thinking. It is treaty law, federal statute, and property law doing exactly what they were written to do: recognize descent, enforce citizenship, and return land to the rightful heir. The door is open. The records exist. And for families willing to prove their lineage, the land is not gone. It is.
All right. We're going to stop right there. That's a long one. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two, these last ones that I didn't do. We're going to start this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. We got this one. We looked at this one already. I like to play this, but I am not for time's sake. We got this one. Now, what I want to do real quick is I want to get into, and shout out to everybody that's here right now. D. Cobb, what's going on? All right, so look, I want to get into this. Let me stop sharing. Let me take this individually up here. All right, we in our education got to change the. All right, so what we're going to do, wait a minute. Hold on, let me bring this. Here we go. All right. I'm going to come back to this because I have to. I have been ordered to talk about this. So I really want to get into this issue of the American and this dissent. I'm going to start here, and then we're going to, tomorrow, what, Thursday? I'm going early tomorrow because I got a lot of stuff I got to do in the afternoon. So I'm going early tomorrow. I'm going to try, I repeat, I'm going to try to go at 10:45. At worst, I'm going to go at 11. And it's going to be short because I got a meeting at 2. So I got to make sure that I'm done by 2. All right. So regardless of what happened, I'm going to be done at 2. Now, depending on how it goes, how long it takes, I might come back again and then open it back up maybe around 3 o'clock. an hour later. And if I do, I'll just go live and then we'll just talk, then I'll just notify, sit around for a little bit, and then we'll run it back and see if, anybody show back up. But I'm going to try to go at 10:45, see if I can get 3 good hours in. All right. We're going to do with these little streams and all that, and then we'll go right into the presentation so we're not wasting a lot of time. All right. Now, let's get on this real quick. Let's talk about Clarence Thomas. Everybody makes him out to be a coon. But for the most part, there's nothing but coons out here. There's nothing but people being the spook sitting by the door and getting in where they fit in and all that, because they know that the opportunity of that movement was defeated. If people don't understand that it was defeated, then you're delusional. Can be delusional. And at this point in time, people had to rearrange themselves. They then had to get their diplomas, go to school, get their diplomas, go to college. Instead of playing in these all quote unquote Negro organization leagues, colleges, and all that stuff, they then started going over to the University of Alabama and all these different these colleges, right? Because they wasn't universities at a certain before that. They was colleges. Harvard wasn't Harvard University, it was Harvard College. These were colleges. And then it expanded into universities because their numbers went up. And the one thing that they was able to do, they was, even through the, now this is my own speculation. This is not fact. It's my own speculation. Is that when 1933, 34, 35, 1918s, that era of time in I would say in a 20-year period from 1918 to 1938, they was able to manipulate the currency in order to get an advantage in the field of sports. People really don't understand how sports, well, let me say it this way, not just how sports, but people really don't understand how important sports is to the world. You see what I'm saying? They really don't understand. Because if you look at it, let me give you a couple people. Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State. Terrell Owens, Central Arkansas. The Raiders, the Steelers, all these people. Mean Joe Green, all these people. The majority of them came from these HBCUs, these historically black colleges. Jim Brown was one of the few, him and the Express was one of the few that went to Syracuse University. Right? Jim Brown went to Syracuse, but he also played lacrosse. The Express went to Syracuse because Jim Brown said, go get him. Most of these Hall of Famers that you see, the greatest wide receiver of all time went to Mississippi Valley State. Anybody heard of that university? The quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, rest in peace, I can't think of his name off the top, went to Alcorn State. A lot of these universities, Washington State, Warren Moon went to Washington State, right? Doug Williams went to Grambling. First brother to win the NFL Super Bowl as a quarterback. Not just won it, blew him out. Washington Redskins. Gotta listen to these people's stories. Like when he won that Super Bowl, he had to get ghosted. Like for real, his career was over. You never know how many people probably came behind him and said, "Hey man, I'll pay you whatever you need to be paid to lose this Super Bowl." But people didn't know that Doug Williams was a quarterback. I'm talking about could throw that ball 80 yards on a tight spiral. People don't understand the importance of sports. So people say, "Oh, he's a coon." He's a coon. I mean, you got a job. I would call you a coon. You haven't created your own network. You're not a boss. You don't do no community organization. People don't rely on you. You're a coon. You pay taxes. You're a coon. You don't own your land. Absolutely. You're a coon. You do what the government tells you to do. And that government is full of pale skins like him. You're a coon. That's why I say this is my white boy kryptonite. See what I'm saying? You are a coon. You have no other means to survive, and you are afraid to do so. If you are to survive, you'll go right to the streets and poison your own people. You're a coon. So, before we get to talk about this coon, let's stay in the coon's place. And let's listen to the coon talk. As a coon. All right? Let's come back here. Let's bring it there. There we go. Let's go here.
Invaders and the people in America. The Citizenship Clause thus guaranteed them the dignity and the glory of American citizenship, so as to ensure that they would never be treated again as second-class citizens. Now, the same could not be said for the children of foreign temporary visitors. It's not the same bucket. Foreign temporary visitors were attached to their home country. They lacked similar bonds to this country. They would not be called upon in a time of war. Americans, consistent with the settler ethos, believed that citizens were the people who called a place home. And so accordingly, domicile, a person's legal home, played a key role in both state and federal citizenship. A person was a citizenship in a state where they had domicile. We decided that in 1859. When foreigners temporarily visited, their national character was unchanged. They're here temporarily. Such visitors were strangers. They weren't subjects. And so a person born here, but domiciled, living in a foreign land, was therefore considered as much a stranger to the country as was his father. So that is why when Dred Scott went to court, he argued that to be a citizen, it is only necessary that he should have domicile. After this court said that Scott was not a citizen simply because he was black, Republicans in Congress, such as Representative John Bingham and others, stated that a person was a citizen if he was born and domiciled here. Scott was a citizen in their view, Dred Scott, because he was born to Americans, not temporary sojourners. And as Frederick Douglass had put it, the freedmen sought citizenship not as aliens nor as exiles, but as Americans. Congress implemented the principle that citizenship follows birth and domicile when they passed the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Then again, in the Citizenship Clause in the 14th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act guaranteed citizenship to persons who were born in the United States and, as relevant here, not subject to any foreign power. meaning they are stateless. They don't have another country that calls them a citizen. The phrase not subject to any foreign power, writes Clarence Thomas in his dissent, excluded from citizenship children of foreign-born temporary visitors. They were subject.
Now, your business, that is my polite way, my funny way of saying thank you for coming up here. And, you know, I'm going to call you back up here in a minute. I'm going to put the link back in the chat, and then we can talk about it later. But that's just a funny thing that we do. It just keeps it funny, keeps it flowing. You know what I'm saying? I know you playing, but I'm just saying, just to go along with it, that's how I do that. You know, I actually got that from my partner Zimbabwe. He said, and no, he's not from Africa. And he said, and when he do that, you're on the phone with him, he said, "Hey man, I'm tired of talking to you, man. Talk to you later." Like, all right, man. Laugh all the time. But it's funny. So I use it. You know, I'm tired of talking to you. That just means I gotta go. Machismo. You know, tough guy stuff. Now, the other part of what you're saying is, you know, the coon stuff. You gotta think about it this way. That's for those that like to be those ones that try to be so, you know, fist pumping and tough and yeah, you know, whoop de whoop de whoop. I like, well, shit. Man, if you got a cat named Bill hollering at you, and you talking about power to the people and this, that, and the other, shit. That's like Debo. Shit, he tell me to shut up when he leave. I'll be talking again. Hey, holler at your boy Billy. Billy come and holler at you, man. Billy gonna holler at you every month. You better holler at Billy. Billy, if you don't holler at Billy, Billy is coming to get that. Gonna grab you by your ankles, turn you upside down, and shake all the chains out your pocket. You know what I mean? And he gonna cut everything off. Cut the waters off. Cut the heat off. Cut that AC off. Cut that car off. Lock them doors. Don't pay bill and see what happens. Billy come to get you. William, Billy Bob, Willie. Yeah, don't pay him. See what happens to you. Yeah. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
To the power of their home country. So your baby belongs to them. The Citizenship Clause, which the same Congress passed shortly thereafter, the Civil Rights Act, was understood to have the same meaning. It guaranteed citizenship to persons who were born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Very simple. A person was subject to the jurisdiction of the government of his domicile. Domicile was the foundation of jurisdictions over persons. According to another treatise, The Law of Nations, that John Roberts apparently didn't read, the government of a person's domicile has broad powers over that person, including with respect to his personal affairs, his conduct.
Okay, so he got these things underlined. This is why I like this guy. He's a lawyer. But he's very good. He's got the underlining going on. So he's telling you what it is right here. He's underlining key phrases, terms, words. This is what he's doing. You see. Now, in the circumstances, he got subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Right up here, you got Congress passed shortly after the Civil Rights Act. I would almost say Civil War was understood, right? Passive. This is a passive term right here. This is subjective. Understood. So that means it's a collective group. You know, people talk about science and all that stuff, where you have what you consider to be a collective group of people, peer review, groupthink, think tanks. They come to have a common understanding. It's another way of saying understood. It's past tense. But at that time, they had a common understanding that something prior to that, I'm not going backwards, had the same meaning. It guaranteed citizenship to persons. So you should have underlined that, because this word is important. What and who are persons? Now, I've showed you the definition of it. I don't need to go back to it. Do I, people? No, I do not. Because we saw what a person is. It's an individual, corporation, association, trust, estate, partnership. We saw that in the executive order. All right. So this is where we're at. Let me go ahead and cam up. So what we have right here, I like that Billy Club. So what we have right here is we know what this persons stands for, what is defined as within the continental United States, right? So as we go here, it says guaranteed citizenship to persons who were both born, ... in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Amendment 14, Section 1. Now, keep that Amendment 14, Section 1, because what I'm about to do right now is I'm going to bring up the 14th Amendment, Section 2. I'm doing it right now. I'm not going to the screen. Right. What I'm also going to do here is I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint, and we're going to go in there because I have it. So let's go bring that up. Oh, shoot. All right. So let me go ahead and play this. But let me get to this other part. So we got here, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So the person was subject to the jurisdiction of the government of his domicile. Subject to the jurisdiction of the government of his domicile. Domicile was the foundation of jurisdiction over persons. See, there's persons here, right? The government of a person's domicile has broad power over that person. When they say broad, he should have underlined that as well, because what is broad? Broad means that it hasn't been clearly defined. You can also use ambiguous as well, because, okay, so it's broad. So that means that at any point in time, it could change. It could be expanded on, whatever it might be, and it could be interpreted as they see fit. See, this is Article 1. This is legislative. It's all legislative. And then have broad power over that person, including with respect to his personal affairs. So that's encumbrance, right? That's encumbrance. That's a lien. It means that they could come on your land, your domicile, your land at any point in time without warrant. Okay, so broad power over that person, including with respect to his personal affairs, his conduct abroad, his personal taxes, in the mutual duties of protection and allegiance. That is what? Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. That's Article 1. More importantly, down the line. So we have that order. But then 14th Amendment is the amendment to Article 1, Section 2. All right, you have 14th Amendment, Article 1, Section 2, for the most part, dealing with citizenship, persons. All right, so we're going to do right here now, since we're at a good place, we can stop right here. Let me go ahead and pull up this. Let me pull up the whole entire screen so I can move around. Let me pull up the whole entire screen. Appreciate everybody being here. And let's hold on real quick. Wrong button. All right, cool. Oh, shoot. I got to put my Bluetooth. I got to put the Bluetooth in. I mean, hold on. So we just get a brief idea. They got the 14th Amendment right here. So it's right here. It says all persons born or naturalized in the United States, born or naturalized, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. All right. So now what we have right here, we're going to go 28 U.S.C. 3002. All right. We're going to come all the way down here to 14. Right? So here we go. 14. But what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way back up to the top. Right? As used in this chapter, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. See, security agreement. Talk about that later. State, 15, United States. So we have that there, right? So we don't need to sit there too long. Let's just deal with it. But right here, they're using the word reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, right? So we actually see that in the First Amendment. Right? You also have Article 1, Section 1. You have all these different things that's going on. Right? But I don't want to stay on that. But what you're looking at is the 14th Amendment creating a whole new constitution. Abbreviated. Because they put a lot of the different sections in the 14th Amendment to amend the original Constitution. Right? So, you want to see? Article 1, Section 2, Clause Section 2. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. 3. All right. No, that ain't what I want. Here we go. Now, if you look at this right here, it says Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in Congress, which shall consist of a Senate, House of Representatives. Section 2. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year. No person shall be a representative, obtained, Representing direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this union. Adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service to India, excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all purposes. This is section 2, article 1. All right, look closely. Article 1, section 2. Right? So this is section 2, clause 1, clause 2, clause 3. So when you see these clauses over here to the right, these are the clauses right here. Each paragraph is a clause. Okay? Now, you see, this is Article 1. Now we come over here to the 14th Amendment. Right? So the 14th Amendment says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject, right, thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state should make or enforce any law to abridge. All right, so let's go here to the Bill of Rights. Let's go to the Bill of Rights. See what the Bill of Rights say. I don't know. Is this a good one? Okay, let's see what these Bill of Rights say. First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press of the right peaceably civil. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We're going to talk about these things. The right of people to be secure. The Fourth Amendment, the right of people is to be secure in their persons, houses, and papers. No person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime. Now, let's come back here. Okay, this is the one. 14th Amendment. All persons born naturally and subject. All of this paragraph is encapsulated in these Bill of Rights. So this is to acknowledge the 14th Amendment is to acknowledge the 13th and 14th Amendment is to acknowledge the articles that preceded that. The articles, the Bill of Rights, everything that preceded this 14th Amendment is being incorporated. So you could just call this like a revocable trust, right? A corporation as such that did an amendment or an addendum. And the end of the addendum is still recognize the Constitution as it was before. Because right here in section 2 of the 14th Amendment, you have a whole nother section of the articles. Right? So this says representatives. So let me go to where's Article 1 at? Nope, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Where we at? Okay, here we go. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. Okay, this is 14th Amendment, right? So let's read. Right? So here we go. This is Section 2. Now let's come over here to Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons. That's a capital P. What this guy is saying over here, where he at? You got persons in lowercase number, lowercase here. So obviously this, what they're reading out, what he's reading right here is not in, is not uniform to the Constitution. So what person is he talking about in lowercase here? All right, so we're going to come back over here. Bing. So these persons right here, free persons, including those bound to service for terms of years and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. Now let's go over here to the 14th Amendment, Section 2. It says representatives shall be apportioned among the several states. Let's go back over here. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states. What did they take out? Representatives. Oh, indirect taxes was taken out. Shall be apportioned among the several states. Let's read again. Which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by the adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. Now let's go to the 14th Amendment, Section 2. What does it say? Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole numbers of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. They took out a bunch. So they took out direct taxes. They kept shall be apportioned among the several states, and they took out which may be included within this union. That was taken out. Then they have according to respective numbers. They kept that. Which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons. They kept that. They took out including those bound to service for a term of years. They took that out. But they kept in and excluding Indians not taxed. Kept that in. 3/5 of all other persons. They took that out. But this says right here, now this is Section 2, 14th Amendment, said, but when the right to vote at any election for the choice of electors for president and vice president of the United States, representatives in Congress, the executive and judicial officers of a state, or the members of the legislature thereof, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such state, being 21 years of age and citizens of the United States, or any way abridged except for participation in rebellion or other crime. Basis of representation therein shall be reduced in the proportion which number of such male citizens shall bear the whole number of male citizens 21 years of age in such state. Now this reminds me of Sovereign Citizen Day, public law on that. Now, all of this has been taken out. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000. All right, so what does it say? It's 14th Amendment. They don't mention anything about that. They don't mention enumeration. They don't mention a lot of things. A lot of things changed, but you know what stayed? You know what stayed? This is the one thing that stayed. Excluding Indians not taxed. Excluding Indians not taxed. Amongst these other sentences, but you see certain things that changed. All right. But the one thing is what I'm reading right here is that these persons is in lowercase here, but then you have persons lowercase here, Oh, I'm reading the, oh, I was reading the wrong one. So this 14th Amendment has persons in lowercase, whole number of persons. This says free persons. Free persons. And it's a capital P. And all other persons. But this just says counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. So who is this persons? Because what he's talking about here, he's talking about persons. So he's reading for from the 14th Amendment. So this persons in all lowercase, who is that talking about? Is that some chattel information?
Conduct abroad, his personal taxes, mutual duties of protection and allegiance. So as the senator who introduced the Citizenship Clause explained during the debates, the word, quote, jurisdiction, he said, as here employed, ought to be construed so as to imply full and complete jurisdiction, okay? The same jurisdiction in extent and quality as applies to every citizen of the United States now. After all, Congress would have no right to make citizens of persons who are here temporarily residing. Senator Trumbull said that too, but John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett liked his other statements, so they picked those and weighed those against that statement. They're both citing the same person. The Citizenship Clause was consistently interpreted not to apply to the children of foreign temporary visitors who were by definition not domiciled here. Regardless of the administration or the party, the government for decades after ratification regularly denied claims to citizenship by children who were born in the U.S. but not living here, not domiciled here. When a child was born in the United States, the parents domiciled living abroad, he was not, therefore, under the Constitution, a citizen. Scholars agreed. A child born within the territory of the U.S. of alien parents was not children of the citizens or subjects of foreign states. You are subject to them. That's yours. That's your nation.
Hold on, I need to find.
Feudal principle, according to which each person owed a personal service to the Lord of the soil, and as his master. In other words, a perpetual servitude that was born with the child and only ended in the grave. And then as Americans, the court says, we adopted that feudal principle as a rule of our American citizenship with little fanfare. I guess we're all sovereign because we're here. We owe an allegiance to the nation. We're not free people. The fact that you're just born here means you're allegiant, like the king, like slaves. So then, according to the court, the Reconstruction Congress codified the feudal principle with the words, not subject to any foreign power in the Civil Rights Act and subject to the jurisdiction thereof as well. Then Roberts and Amy, they say the clause's meaning was definitively settled in dicta. In other words, dicta, which is speech language included in the decision that's not even relevant to the holding in Wong Kim Ark. Clarence says, with due respect, the court's account is not historically accurate. The court says that the Citizenship Clause incorporated the English feudal principle that subjects owed lifetime servitude to the king, literally based on the soil, but Americans rejected that. We did that unsurprisingly. The court's theory now of American citizenship is based on the opinion of a New York assistant vice chancellor in an inheritance dispute back in a case called Lynch versus
No, I want to see this.
Clause means. In America, you were generally a citizen if you were born here and this was your home. The meaning of the Citizenship Clause, I respectfully dissent. From Clarence Thomas, continuing. Now, I begin with early American practices related to citizenship and nationality, which inform what the clause means. In America, you were generally a citizen if you were born here and this was your home. The legal word for home was domicile. The concepts were so linked as to be taken effectively synonymous at times. Citizenship means domicile. Domicile means home. That means permanent residence. The same correspondence has persisted throughout American history. In fact, citizens were not the only people who were temporarily passing through a territory or who happened to be born in it. Citizens were the permanent members of the body politique, the people whose roots were in place, who called that place home, and who would, if necessary, go to war for that place. The law of both state and national citizenship reflected this important principle. Now, domicile was critical for state citizenship as well. Marshall explained that a person who was a citizen of that state means he has a fixed and permanent domicile. And temporary visitors, therefore, were not citizens. When a person went to a new state on a temporary visit for a transient purpose, he's not a citizen there. Instead, to become a citizen of the state to which he removes, he's got to prove domicile. It's literally the same rule today. An individual is deemed a citizen of the state where he resides, where his domicile is. Also critical.
Okay. Now, trying to find the dang on show. Trying to find the dang on.
Executive branch was that when a person acquires an American domicile, the law enjoins upon other nations to respect him in regard to protection as an American citizen. He's one of ours. He lives here. Domicile confers a national character. It does not allow anyone who has a domicile to decline the national character thus conferred, citing cases. His status remains as long as the domicile is retained and changes with it. So this approach is consistent with this country's settler ethos. Daniel Webster wrote that no government has carried the general presumption further than the U.S. that the nation a person attains a new national character when he settles in it. Although some nations would lay claim to anyone born in their land, America viewed their people as the people who built their lives here. A person domiciled pays the same price for his protection as a native born or natural citizen pays for theirs.
All right, so look. What's let me ask you guys a question, and gals. What's the difference, if any, between America and the United States? Because Justice Thomas is mentioning America in regards to this Naturalization Act, Birthright, Citizenship. He's talking about America. He's talking about Americans. He's not mentioning United States citizens. He's mentioning American citizens. You guys kind of catch that? I'm not really sensing a lot of United States in his jargon. I want to see what these other people are saying in regards to their dissents and their majority opinions, you know, in contrast to the which gave rise to these dissents. Really would like to know what that means. Now, more importantly, I'm more concerned with, you know, the status business aspect of it and what's in the relationship part in regards to the United States and Americans. Because last time I checked, you still have the United States of America. So my other question is Justice Thomas saying that the United States is a state of immigrants? Because they say it a lot. They meaning these public officials. We are a nation of immigrants. Now, if they continue to say we are a nation of immigrants, what nation are they talking about? Are they talking about the United States as a nation state? Democracy, a democratic republic of some sort? Is that what they're saying? Because they say that we are a nation of immigrants. But I think that real Americans, or I say Americans in general, who call themselves Americans, that put time and time and time immemorial people and resources and sweat, to build and to keep this land sustainable, will say, well, I'm not a part of that nation because I'm not an immigrant. And we talk about an immigrant with an I and two M's. We ain't talking about immigrant with an E and one M. Talking about an immigrant with an I and two M's. That's my question. If we want to look at it from that perspective, I'm seeing American. That's what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. I don't hear United States here. So is Justice Thomas saying something a little bit more profound? Like, if you're not an American citizen, you are an immigrant. You are a foreigner, and you have no allegiance to America whatsoever. I don't care when you got here. You see? Now, let me give you an example. I'll give you a few examples. We went here. We talked about that. I didn't know. I don't know if anybody knew. I'm not saying you didn't know that the 14th Amendment actually was an amendment. Well, the 14th Amendment, Section 2 was an amendment to Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. 14th Amendment, Section 1 was an amendment to one of them other articles. It seemed like one of the Bill of Rights. And some of these other, the other articles in 14th Amendment was an amendment to one of the Bill of Rights or one of the articles. I don't know. My main focus is Section 2 in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. So that confirmed to me that the 14th Amendment was actually an amendment to the Constitution, the articles, and an amendment and an addendum at the same time. It was an addendum to the Bill of Rights and an amendment to the Constitution in the articles based on the people, the persons, so they will say. So we got that. This is Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. This is 14th Amendment, Section 2. We see that there's a change in this person's versus this person's right here. Right? We kind of see some of the ties we have here in the Bill of Rights. Right? And we have what we consider to be a definition. Definitions. All right, what a state is, what the United States is. Now, state means any of the several states. The District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the Commonwealth of Northern Marianas, or any territorial possession of the United States. That's a state. United States means a federal corporation, an agency. I know you guys read this before. It's nothing like being refreshed on it. An agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States, or an instrumentality of the United States. 16, United States Marshals. You remember the justices was talking about the marshals. means a United States Marshal, a deputy marshal, or an official of the United States Marshal's Service designated under Section 564. Okay. All right. Okay. Consumer Credit Protection Act. Commerce and Trade. All right. Now, I want to talk about politics for a second. Let's talk about communism and capitalism. Okay, so we get a clear idea. Then at the same time, hold on a second. Dang it. Hold on, let me get my external hard drive. Let me get this real quick. Because I think we need to get a clear understanding of what we're dealing with here. All right. All right, so we're clear. So we're clear here. Let's go to American. All right, so we're going to blow this up a little bit, right? I think it was in here, if I remember. I think it was in here. Now, look at it right from this mirror. You got community service, see tax systems. Okay. I just wanted to come here real quick because this is, as you saw, can't think of all right. So here we go. Tax system. They call it Mita. 2000 BC, South American, Indian, Mesoamerican cultures. Okay. Taxes are fees or duties that are levied on people in order to support the government under which they live. Rulers have exacted taxes in the form of tribute or tribe in many parts of the world, including the Americas. In some instances, American Indian taxation took a slightly different form from that practiced in other parts of the world. In general, North American Indians made voluntary contributions to the well-being of the community. Compulsory taxation developed in South America and in Mesoamerica, along with bureaucracies to administer these systems. The oldest tax system developed in the Americas began in about 2000 BC in the Andean Mountains of South America. The first form of taxation, referred to as the corvée labor system, required people to perform work as a form of tribute. For example, the pre-Peruvian people were required to help build pyramids. Workers were divided into many different teams for the project. Those who made adobe bricks signed them. Wait. What did it say? Those who made adobe bricks signed them. You guys ever remember, I don't know if y'all did this, but back in the day, anytime there was new concrete laid, we used to put our hand down there, or we used to sign our name, and then it turned in. Anybody do that? I know we did. It was Mando. Even though we didn't build it, we used to put our little signature in there. We put a handprint, put our name, something. I don't know if y'all did that or not. Did y'all do that? Hold on, let me look at the chat real quick. Did y'all do that? I did it. I don't know. Y'all do. I did it. The corvée labor system was the precursor for the Mita tax system that the Inca developed many years later. The Inca established an empire of what is now Peru. Okay. Okay. Now, let's continue. Certain people were responsible for building way stations. You saw that they had the road system and all that. Got all that. But let's read some more. Certain people were responsible for building way stations along the road system. Others were responsible for keeping the way stations stocked with food, supplies, and water. In addition to allowing the creation of an extensive structure of public works. Wait a minute, public works? The Incas' tax system also provided for a social welfare system. See also disability rights. Wait a minute. Disability rights. This is what I'm saying about communism. Communism. It's depending who's talking about it here. In so many ways. I'm not a communist by any means of what y'all consider to be a communist to be. I don't know what y'all talking about. All I'm doing is taking the word and we're putting it in its root. Communism. See, when you put an ism on it, it could be defined and be idealized as all kind of stuff we don't know. We saw what community is. Community is taxation. So you're a part of a union, you're part of a group of people. But you know why you're paying the taxes. You're paying the taxes to the government for the benefit of you. And it's something that you agree to, fully competent in your agreement. All right. Let's not spend too long. I just want to give you this real quick. Just want to bring you this real quick. No one, even those who could not work, was allowed to go hungry. When the required work was difficult, those who performed it were protected by labor laws, as was the case with miners. Pre-contact Mesoamerican cultures also had tax systems that required both work and tribute. The Maya, whose culture arose in what is now Mexico, allegedly. Certain people say North America. Who knows? Who cares? It's in the Americas. The Maya whose culture arose in what is now Mexico in about 1500 BC, allegedly, began imposing formal tributes in about AD 250. City governments run by aristocrat families exacted tributes in the form of work to build religious and governmental buildings, allegedly, that these are aristocrats and all this type of stuff. Yeah. These are people that's doing this and saying this in their fashion of what they know it to be. You see what I'm saying? So don't take that. We ain't taking that too far. In the Aztec Empire, which was established in what is now Mexico in about AD 1100, tribute became even more important and organized. This tribute came from individuals, but it was also exacted on trade, manufacturing, and agriculture. But what we do know here that there was governments here, cities, aristocratic families, people well off, doing well. So we got a key component in what we call community, not communism, not communism. All right. So I thought there was something else, but I'm not going to spend too much time. Let's come back to Black's Fort. Communism, a system of social organization, as we saw right here, in which goods are held in common, which we saw right here. Held in common, the opposite of the system of private property, right? So that's real communism. Commune, everything for the common people. The people come together. You have commonwealth, so on and so forth. Wealth of the commons. It's all all coming together. Versus you have private property, and people think capitalism is equated to private property. I don't know about that. Maybe so. I don't know. Communalism, any theory or system of social organization involving common ownership of agents of production of industry. As we kind of seen how they spelled it out here. Okay. So we kind of look at it from that perspective, right? Some of the common tributes required under the system include all forms of gold. Common. Things being done in common. Okay. But how was it spelled out then versus how it's spelled out now? Why is communism being treated such as things that is considered to be of the devil? I mean, pretty much they're saying communism is of the devil. You see? Now, so it says, the latter of which theories is referred to in the popular use of the word communism, while the scientific usage sometimes conforms to the first alone and sometimes alternates between the first and second. Also, the principles and theories of the Communist Party, especially in Soviet Russia. So we come down here, any theory or system of social organization involving common ownership of the agents of production. The agents of production. What does that mean? And some approach to equality in the distribution of the products of industry. Okay. And here we go. So this is Webster did. I don't know what that means, but a system by which the state controls the means of production and the distribution and consumption of industrial products. Central Dictionary. I know that's dictionary, but you don't know what that means. But this is contrary to what this definition was saying up here. Now, this is a system by which the state controls the means of production. Now, these people, okay, so let's put our thinking cap on here. These people are saying they don't like communism. But today, Does not the state have a system in which they controls the means of the production and the distribution and the consumption of products, industrial products, but products? Isn't that what they're doing right now? Why are they saying they hate communists and they actually are operating from a communist mentality by this definition? Or maybe they might be all right with this portion of the definition, but not be all right with this portion of the definition. Social organization involving common ownership of the agents of production versus a system by which the state controls the means of production. So that'd be one state times what, 50? 2? So you got 52 states. Well, are they considered to be the common wealth, or are they operating under the idealism of communism? Sounds like it's what we have going on. But you see, it has state in all lowercase, so we don't know what that state is. But I don't know. Now, it says right here, communist. A supporter of the Paris Commune. Okay, 1871. Here goes this 1871 again, you guys. 1871 again. A member of the Communist Party in any country, especially Soviet Russia, who believes in communism. The Communist Party, a semi-political party of the recent years, representing the socialist radical wing and holding up tenets and beliefs of communism. But we don't know what this communist thing is. Well, under the, let's go find capitalism. Then we can close it up. All right, let's go up here. All right, capital. Okay, so capita, heads and figuratively entire bodies, whether persons or animals. That's capita. Persons individually considered without relation to others. Poles, as distinguished from stirps or stocks of descent, determined in this sense, making part of common phrases. Capita per, or per capita, by heads, by the pole, as individuals. And there's a distribution of this intestates, personality. Persons legally entitled to take are said take per capita, capital. The word may have different meanings when used in different connections. Commissioner of corporations and taxations versus balloon. It may mean, it may. Actual property or estate. So we got capitalism. Actual property or estate. Let's go down here. Where else we got? All capital invested plus surplus or undivided profits. All capital invested plus surplus or undivided profits. An amount or value of property to par value of paid up issued shares or stated value of no par shares. Condemnation award. Dividends earned before creation of trust. Dividends received by trustee, stockholder, and liquidation of corporation. Extraordinary dividends paid on reducing value of stock. Gain from sale of realty. means contributed by share owners. Money invested at interest, money required of partners by agreement. All right. All right. Capitalism. Capitalist. Here we go. One exclusively dependent on accumulated property, whether denoting a person of large wealth or one having an income from investments. The word has no legal meaning. The word has no legal meaning. Case law. Capitalization method, a method of measuring values of realty for purpose of determining values of mortgages by expertly estimating the gross income which property should throw off. Capitalize, in one sense, to convert a periodic payment into a sum in hand. There we go. So people are scared of capitalism because why? It only deals with property, realty, making money off it, accumulated. Capitalism brings monopoly. That's capitalism, right? The monopoly game. Capitalism brings monopoly because you're only dealing with what? Real estate. In monopoly, you're only dealing with real estate. That is capitalism. And you have a bank. But communism is considered to be the anti-Christ. And capitalism is to be like Christ. I think. I don't know. I really never understood these terms. I never understood why they don't like each other. Maybe communism might be by what we see in American Encyclopedia of American Indian contributions to the world, not Native American Indian contributions to the world, that we might have our come on, man, where you at? We might have our communal situation here. We just might have a discrepancy in this. We just might have a discrepancy in this, you guys. But what we're going to do is we're going to leave it there. We are going to leave it there. We are on 3:19. I think that's a good time. We can pause that. Right. Now, we have, so it shows they own NADA. They are non-descendable. Capitalism offs them at the head. No, you better should be wild with it. God's property had it down to his children. 1871 is the opening of the DBA called the United States. Okay. Okay. What else you say? Yeah, so that's why they scream heritage, but it ain't theirs, it's ours. Absolutely. You know? But hopefully this made some sense in your world. where we're trying to establish a comprehension level of reading, right? Discernment. What is being said? What is not being said? Key words, substantial words. What does these words actually mean? Okay. What do these words actually mean? And I'm glad I remembered I need to go to domicile. I need to go to domicile. I didn't get nothing out of capitalism, capital, and communism. I didn't get nothing out of that. Domicile. Okay. Domicile. Here we go. Okay, that place where a man has his true, fixed, and permanent home and principal establishment, into which whenever he is absent, he has the intention of returning. All right, so under the circumstances, right? Now I got to go back to my screen. God damn it, I thought I was done. All right, so look, we got to go over here. So we're going to do the whole screen. We're going to pull this up. We're going to deal with this issue here because I could not find the oral argument that I did prior because they actually talked about that the American Indians were not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, which made them foreign. So if that made them foreign, then they would have to, if they want to come in, they will have to be naturalized and pledge allegiance. So would they be any different than people coming from outside of North America, right within North America, and still are considered to be foreign based on the connection? Right. So if that's the case, then we got a confused situation here. So if somebody's coming from India, Pakistan, Philippines, Russia, Ukraine, Persia, Iran, Egypt, Africa, any portion of Africa, Europe, they have a government, they have a country. So when they come over here, and they either come over here on visa on a temporary basis to work or whatever they're going to do, and then they go back home. Right? They're not subject to the taxation thereof because of the relationship that the United States of America has with another country in those areas. So that means that whatever goes on, they pay taxes, and then the country pays taxes to the United States for bringing them over here. Somebody has to pay. There is payment that is made on both sides. So, well, supposedly. So if we come here with it, boom. All right, so we come here to this video because this is quick. I can get to it real fast. We actually have
citizenship. If you were an American Indian, the Supreme Court held more than 100 years ago that American Indians were not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States.
Oh, wow.
And did not get birthright citizenship. So Congress had to provide birthright citizenship through statute. So ask this dispositive question: if America.
So if that's the case, meaning that even the American Indians could not get birthright citizenship in the United States. Is this complicated to you guys and gals? Is this complicated? Shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. Let's play it again.
If you were an American Indian, the Supreme Court held more than 100 years ago that American Indians were not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and did not get birthright citizenship, so Congress had to provide birthright citizenship through statute.
Plenary powers, right? They had to provide birthright citizenship by statute. They had to figure out a way to pull us in. So if they did that by statute, that's Congress doing that. Congress did that. The chiefs and the people that ran these families and ran these areas did not agree to that. I can almost guarantee that. Anybody that assumes that the people agreed, these American people agreed to that, is out their rabbit ass mind. You're actually doing a disservice to these people as if they was weak. Okay? Let me show y'all something. Show y'all something else. Now, if the domicile means by definition, right, as we've been seeing, as we looked in American Indian contributions to America, we actually noticed that what happened, that all of these terms and all the videos that I'm showing, I'm doing a good like circle, right? Everything is 360, 360, 720, 144. Or I should say 14, I'm sorry, not 144, 1440. Right, 1440. So it's 144, right? But it's 1440. Right, we're doing a circular thing. We just keeping it moving. But all these social media streams, right? So now you know, think you can put two and two together. All these social media streams are up here to make a point. Right? After a while, you repeat it over and over again. You have different people repeating it like they do in the news. Multimedia streams, stations and channels and all this stuff are repeating something. But you have people repeating the same thing. But you know what? The things that I'm showing is multiple ethnic groups, races, and people saying the same thing. Once that happens, it's like peer review. That's like experiment or science, right? Once it has been confirmed over and over again, then it's confirmed and it's concurred that this is actually considered to be facts. Now, domicile, that place where a man has his true, fixed, and permanent home and principal establishment, into which whenever he is absent, he has the intention of returning. Now, can domicile apply to American Indian even if they're not considered to be capable of getting birthright citizenship within the continental United States? Could they have their own domicile absent of the United States? Is it possible in America that it actually can happen? Right? Because we do have something called American jurisprudence. We do have something that actually deals with Black's Law Dictionary, Webster Dictionary. We have all these dictionaries that's based off of American traditions, American law, American civilization, American writing, American language. That's how I look at it. Okay. So if this is considered to be
were an American Indian, The Supreme Court held more than 100 years ago that American Indians were not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States.
Oh, wow. So, not subject to the jurisdiction. And this is 2025, if you're looking closely. If you're looking closely here, 2025. 100 years ago is 1925. So what are all these people talking about? Slavery. Now this. Now that. What are they talking about over 100 years ago? Over 100 years ago. 1925. You know why? Because everybody that's considered to be this type right here is African. West African. Not no other African, but just West African. In these specific locations. All right. So, peace to everybody. Yeah, 108, it's crazy. Straight crazy. 108 is crazy. All right. So, yeah, as I say, and like I always say, peace. Appreciate everybody coming in here. About to play these last two cuts. Shout out to King Chameleon and Copper Draco. And like I say, once it's over, it's over.
We want freedom by any means necessary. We want justice by any means necessary. We want equality by any means necessary. We don't feel that in 1964, living in a country that is supposedly based upon freedom and supposedly the leader of the free world, we don't think that we should have to sit around and wait for something to take a
All of your assets, you have to protect it. Just set your trust up, come get your status corrected. Yeah, you know we moving more than mountains. Fuck your school, fuck your voting system, fuck your water fountains. Melanin, I know you heard of me. You can never murder me. I want that gold you owe me now and gold from 1933. I want y'all to stand on all the treaties that you sold to me. Cause we was already here, y'all came on a boat to me. And know this God-given land we all holding fees. Simple, absolute gratitude, your majesty. I am not in my straw man, you not controlling me. Certified, signed, sealed, stamped by the notary. Don't try to lie to my face like you ain't just a colonist who tricked us with contracts, but you fail to acknowledge it. In history books of fertilizer, one big pile of shit. Acting like you freed us from slavery, but ain't abolished it. The plantation just got renovated. Driver's license and passports are the new slave papers. How they foreclosing on the ones they gave acres. We allowed them entry, even trusted them as neighbors. They took everything from us and made us ask for favors. And posed as the only helping hand that's there to save us. Boycott, don't try to keep up with the fad. Cause the money that we save, the properties that we rehab. Tears don't fall from my eyes. Cause they see our what, but they don't see our why. You was born in June, but I only seen July. Influenced by bad spirits like a DUI. You ain't do no estate planning, but you think you fly. Now we gon' need 3 fish fries to see you die. We the revolt, boy, don't play with me. The time is now, this royalty over slavery. Damn.
I hear that verse again.
Hello, listen.
No moving.
I'm the coach, quotes coded in oak with a ghost loaded focus. Chrome in the coat, king with the cloak, smoking that hocus pocus. Infinite styles, pivot and pile up the mileage. I'm wild with the science. You see the line on my avatar, iron jaw pride. I to devour the silence. Why you niggas steady lying? Got me laughing hard, satire and fraud. I fire the squad. Wise get crossed when I'm sparring with all the guards. Author of art, carving a mark in the bark of the market at large. Target the sharks, heart of a Spartan. I sharpen the margin with bars. You rather bargain and dodge. I'd rather you come get your taxes done. Black suit back, room facts in a stack. I'm relaxing the maximum. Get out of the pocket, the profit of rocket. Then I just might tax you punks. Bracket your funds, I'm stacking in chunks. Reacting to action, you're begging a punch. Sometimes my community hard-headed, scarred, dreading the lessons. I chart head and start spreading the message, embedded in pressure. Sovereign living, I'm private with it. No corporate percentage. Discharging debt with a pen stroke. You still don't notice the vision. I've been telling y'all you don't want to debate me. Weighty and ready. Great with machetes, linguistically shredding the petty. Grab these 15 acres. Landscape major, plan made paper. Land patent stamped and sacred since my campaign greater. I ain't talking about Ice-T when I say that I can show you law and order. Court recorder, I sort the torture, contort the border. I eat the case, beat the state, leave a trace in a raw supporter. Briefcase aura, got your baby mama thinking that I'm a lawyer. Seminole Indian sentiment, militant on sovereign soil. Private enrollment, tribal component. I'm the boss if you trying to employ it.
Clutch, baby. Infinite.